Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of history's most chilling mysteries, a case that's haunted London for over a century. We're talking about Jack the Ripper. You've probably heard the name before, maybe in a movie, a book, or whispered around a campfire. Do you know the real story? The one that sent shockwaves through Victorian London? The one that still baffles detectives and historians to this day? Well, buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into the dark alleys of Whitechapel. It all started in the late summer of 1888. London was a city of extremes. Wealthy neighborhoods stood in stark contrast to poverty-stricken slums. And in the East End, life was especially tough. Whitechapel was known for its overcrowded streets and rampant crime. It was here, in these shadowy corners, that Jack the Ripper would strike. His first victim was Mary Ann Nichols. On August 31st, her body was found in Bucks Row. She'd been brutally murdered, her throat cut so deeply it nearly severed her head. The police were baffled. They'd seen violent crimes before, but nothing like this. Little did they know, it was just the beginning. A week later, on September 8th, another body was discovered. This time it was Annie Chapman. She was found in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street. The murder was even more gruesome than the first. Not only was her throat cut, but her body had been mutilated. The killer had taken some of her internal organs. Panic started to spread through Whitechapel. Who was doing this, and why? The police were under immense pressure to find the killer, but they had little to go on. No witnesses, no clear motive, just a trail of brutalized bodies. Then on September 30th, the killer struck twice in one night. Elizabeth Stride was found first, her throat cut but her body otherwise untouched. It seemed the killer had been interrupted. But he wasn't done. Less than an hour later, Catherine Eddowes was found. Her murder was particularly savage. Her face was mutilated and her organs were removed and arranged around her body. It was a scene of unimaginable horror. By now, the case was making headlines around the world. The press dubbed the killer Jack the Ripper after a letter sent to the Central News Agency. The letter, signed Jack the Ripper, taunted the police and promised more killings. Whether it was actually from the killer or a hoax is still debated today. But the name stuck, and it struck fear into the hearts of Londoners. The final confirmed victim was Mary Jane Kelly. She was killed on November 9th in her own home. Her murder was the most brutal of all. The details are too gruesome to describe here, but it's safe to say it shocked even the hardened police officers who discovered her. And then, silence. The killings stopped as suddenly as they had begun. Jack the Ripper vanished into the fog of history, but the mystery remained. Who was Jack the Ripper? Why did he kill? And why did he stop? These questions have puzzled people for over 130 years. Countless theories have been proposed. Some say he was a doctor, given the surgical precision of his cuts. Others claim he was a member of the royal family, protected by a conspiracy. There are even theories that Jack wasn't a he at all, but a woman. The truth is, we may never know for sure. The case remains unsolved to this day, but that hasn't stopped people from trying to crack it. Ripperologists, yes, that's a real term, have dedicated their lives to studying the case. They pore over old police reports, newspaper articles, and letters. They use modern forensic techniques to re-examine the evidence. Some even conduct DNA tests on items supposedly linked to the killer. But so far, no definitive proof has been found. The identity of Jack the Ripper remains a mystery. And in a way, that's what makes the case so fascinating. It's like a real-life puzzle that's stumped the world for over a century. It's a story that combines true crime, history, and urban legend. It gives us a glimpse into a dark chapter of London's past. And it raises questions about human nature and the limits of justice. But beyond the mystery, the Jack the Ripper case had real consequences. It exposed the harsh living conditions in London's East End. It led to reforms in policing and forensic science. And it changed the way we think about serial killers. In many ways, Jack the Ripper was the first modern serial killer, the first to capture widespread public attention, the first to become media sensation, and the first to inspire a whole genre of true crime stories. But we should never forget that at the heart of this story are real victims. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride. Catherine Eddowes and Mary Jane Kelly. These women lived hard lives in a harsh time, and they met brutal ends at the hands of a killer who was never brought to justice. Their stories deserve to be remembered, not just as victims of Jack the Ripper, but as people who lived, loved, and struggled in Victorian London. So what do you think about the Jack the Ripper case? Do you have a theory about who he was or why he killed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video interesting, give it a like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the most chilling stories are the ones that really happen.